So when you're talking about a spiral, again, you're talking about wire choice. I could decide that I want to have my spiral be nice and patinaed and antique so it looks really cool on the front of that and has the same sort of effect. And in that case, I'm going to use a brass wire. I am never going to get a spiral out of a 12 gauge, probably not a 14 gauge, and maybe if you have like man pliers out of a 16 gauge. So you want to use something pretty thin for a spiral. This is 18 gauge. This will make a nice one. But if a spiral is going to be harder to do with bare wire, bless you, because of course it's a little harder to work with. It doesn't like to spin like all the other wires. So I'm just going to get myself a fairly decent section of wire. If you have an S in your plan, you might need a longer section. If you just have a small spiral, it might be shorter. But okay, so you're going to take the very end of the wire, get your pliers on there. What kind of pliers do I have?
Round nose.
Yep, these are the round nose pliers. It's going to make a very tiny curl right here in the end. I just have the extreme tip of it. Now, that's not too bad, but I want it to be even tighter than that. So once you start it, clip off the end just a teeny bit, and you'll have a nicer, even tighter spiral. And I'm going to use my bent nose pliers to make sure I get it nice and tidy, nice and tiny, little tiny hole as best I can. I want that really small. There we go. Okay. Can you see that? That's your goal, like tiny and pretty much perfectly in a circle. Now I'm ready to start my spiral. Luckily, whatever I grab with this is going to be open the distance of the wire, right? So if I grab this, I'm going to have exactly 18 gauge space in between the, I don't know, arms of the plier. So I can grab it in there. You're going to have to hold it pretty hard. And I can bend that down right through the pliers, remove my pliers, and do it again. It should go right down through there. So I get a nice tight spiral. Now that's not quite tight enough. I want all these edges touching. That's part of your skill and your grade that we're looking at here. So I'm going to keep making adjustments with my bent nose pliers until I've got it nice and tight the way I want it. Once I get it going, I won't have to make nearly as many adjustments, but the very beginning is the hardest part. Getting a little bit tighter there, but I still have space in here I want to take care of, so I'm going to squeeze just a little bit more that way. There, I closed it up. Did you see it? Hard to see. And I'm also pliering the crap out of this wire. So thank goodness it's bare wire, because I'll be able to buff it, sand it, whatever I want to do, and get those plier marks out of there. All right, now I'm ready for another wrap around. And now it's going to go pretty easily. All right, that's pretty good. It would get you a pretty good grade on your S, on your spiral. Now, if I'm doing an S, I would start coming down here the same direction, or sorry, the opposite direction. And if you have plans to put this on a jump ring, you're going to want to have a little blip in one of the last rotations around so you can fit your jump ring in there. So here's my jump ring. I'm going to put it on there and just have a little blip and go around it like that. You're going to end up using this sort of spiral technique for a lot of different things, so it's really a good one to master. When I'm done, which side of the flush cuts gets put next to your piece? The flat side, right. Good. And then, of course, I would tap it. I would pound this on a rubber block for a while to make sure those coils aren't going anywhere, to make sure it's nice and sturdy. Okay, so that's your spiral. That's what you're talking about. Now, if you had on your piece that it gets attached to something, then when you get to the end, you're going to wind up doing one of these jobs like we did for the pendant, where you wrap it around, right, like that, and then start wrapping that around, and that way this will be a loop that you can put through your. Now, I already bent the crap out of that. Ouch! So I don't know if I can do that without. Yeah, that would have been a lot better if I hadn't already bent it around the opposite direction, but you're going to keep wrapping that around, and then you'd have your pendant. Like, that's going to circle around and around. Shit, I can do it with my hands. There you go. Now it's Tara versus the wire, so I have to finish it. Once you just get around once or twice, it would be okay. Oh yeah. Okay, got it. Now I would snip off the fresh end, but that's what it would look like. Okay. And you can hang that right off your piece. All right. Now let's say I want to do this with craft wire. I'm going to use this red color that people hardly use. This is 18 gauge. Again, that's a pretty good size. It's super, super soft, super pliable, so I know if I'm afraid of the spiral, this might be a good place to start. Remember, I didn't take off the tag, and I'm putting it back in the baggie with the tag so everyone knows what gauge you used. Start with my round nose pliers, make my little circle, but every time I touch the wire, I'm going to leave a mark. So I'm going to touch it as little as possible. That actually doesn't look too bad as far as a curl, so I don't think I need to trim it and keep going. I can do it without it. And as soon as I can stand it, I'm going to use my fingers instead of the pliers because your fingers don't leave a mark. So right there, I can go ahead and start using my fingers. Just keep on pulling it nice and tight. But you got to do it with your fingers. If you use your pliers, you'll just have a lot of marks on it. Okay, that's still a pretty big hole in the middle, but okay. It's your spiral with craft wire. Again, you can do the same thing with the ends. Maybe I'll just do an S with this one so you can see. Get my pliers out of there as soon as I can. Oh, I don't like that. See how easily it's bending, right? Like, that's why you wouldn't want to do a jump ring out of this kind of wire because it'll just come apart on you. Okay, pretty nice little S wire. Okay, put my hand behind it so you can see. All right, any questions? Your goal today is to finish up all the parts of your pendant, or at least almost get finished with them so that you can do the clasp within the next day or two. Okay.